My name is Ethan. I live alone in a small town in the southern United States. My work takes up a lot of time in a day. I have to leave the house at 8 a.m. and return at 7 p.m. The area around my house was quite empty until the last few months. A family of a young couple and their daughter moved in. They weren't very friendly, so I only greeted them briefly in some first meetings. When I came home from work in the evening, I saw a little girl sitting on the side of the road wearing thin clothes in the cold winter. After a few questions, I realized that the girl was the child of a young couple next door. The girl was about 5 years old, shivering, her eyes fixated on the ground. When she heard me ask, she just looked up, looked at me with innocent, puffy eyes, and did not answer. I was about to help her stand up, but suddenly her mother's scolding sound came from afar. She is Kate, about 35 years old, with a thin body and some bruises on her face. I greeted Kate in a friendly manner, but she ignored me. She roughly pulled her daughter into the house and scolded her repeatedly, causing her to cry in fear. That night while I was sleeping, the sound of the couple arguing and the loud cry of the neighbor's daughter woke me up. This wasn't the first night like that. Since they moved in, I was often bothered by loud arguments. I'm quite uncomfortable. It's been a long day of work, so I really want to rest. But it's a private matter of their family, so I'm not feeling comfortable about reminding them and instead choose to keep quiet. The frequency of the couple's arguments is increasing. They use harsh words and insult each other. Sometimes there is a mother's yelling at her daughter, followed by her loud crying. I feel sorry for her when she has to live in such an environment. A few days later, that house felt strangely quiet. They must have resolved their conflicts, I thought. Another evening, I came home later than usual. On the dirt road leading to the house, I saw Kate's daughter again. This time she dressed more warmly. The little girl no longer sat with her head down, holding a toy shovel and diligently digging down the dirt road. I approached her and gently asked her what she was doing here. Her face was much brighter. Her innocent voice answered me, "I dig graves to bury people." That innocent voice told me that I was following my mother's actions the previous evening. I looked towards the neighbor's house in fear. Kate's figure standing in the door startled me. Her eyes were sharp and a bit angry. Kate slowly approached, pulled her daughter's hand, and went into the house without saying a word. Early the next morning, I heard loud crying and a very strong banging on the door. Hurrying to open the door, I saw a little girl with messy hair and disheveled clothes crying loudly while pointing towards her house. A series of questions arose in my mind. Walking towards the house, I immediately felt a cold chill running down my spine. In the house's messy living room, Kate hanged herself, her body floating, her face pale. I felt like my body was frozen shut, so scared that I couldn't move. My mind went all blank, my ears were ringing. The girl's cry pulled me back to reality. Immediately, I smelled a terrible stench. Taking the girl back to my house, I quickly called the police. After investigation, the police concluded that Kate's death was due to her hanging herself. Even more horrifying, they discovered Kate's husband's body buried behind the garden. The body was determined to have been dead for about 5 days and was decomposing. Kate herself attacked and murdered her husband, and then she ended her own life. Kate's daughter fell asleep in my arms because she was tired. Looking at the poor girl, I felt sorry for her unhappy childhood and having to witness so many terrible things. The girl was taken to live with her aunt in rural California, 300 kilometers from her old home. I think her parents' married life is not happy. The bruises on Kate's body are most likely caused by her husband's violence. Kate only acted spontaneously when she murdered her husband, due to the life of too much pain and repression she had endured in the past.